Welcome to a MEPA video. As a pioneering brand, MEPA is a global training company that teaches individuals and organizations how to think more effectively in order to succeed in the world's most competitive century. This video takes a look at introducing the concept of entrepreneurship and asking 10 questions that anyone considering a venture needs to ask themselves. Number 1, what does entrepreneur mean? 2, what need will you fill? 3, why do you want to address this need? 4, will you launch a for-profit or a non-profit business? 5, what industry will you compete in? 6, will you generate revenue elsewhere? 7, where will your venture be located? 8, how will you fund your venture? 9, who will assist you? And 10, when have you last assessed your traits and habits? Get a pen and paper ready because there are going to be certain things that you probably are going to want to write down during this. First, let's look at the definition of entrepreneur. What does it mean? Well, officially it means one who launches, organizes, and manages a business and assumes risk for the sake of profit. That's one way of looking at the word entrepreneur. I'd rather look at it a different way, though. And if we trace the etymology of the word, it comes from the Old French, meaning one who undertakes. In other words, it's one who takes action. Do you just stand there and look at the bar? Or do you stand there, run up, and try to jump over the bar? That's really a critical question. So the first one says, what does it mean? What does it mean to you when you hear the word entrepreneur? The second question is, what need will you fill? What is the need in society? And how big is that need? Who needs it? Every entrepreneur that creates a business or a nonprofit or a school, there's all types of different ways one can be an entrepreneur, is filling a need. But if you don't know what that need is, as you're trying to create or launch your venture, you might encounter a great deal of difficulty. So the second question here is, what is the need? And be very specific, what is the need you want to address? So once you've identified that need, then you have to ask yourself, well, why do you want to fill this need? Why do you want to fill this need? So it's different than the what is the need and who needs it. Now you're going to ask yourself why. Take a look at your past, your thinking, your actions, both at a personal and professional level, and ask yourself, why do you want to do what you're about to do? Fourth, now you can ask yourself, all right, I know what the need is. I know why I want to do it. Well, now ask yourself, do you want to make it a for-profit or non-profit? You can make it a for-profit, and most entrepreneurship ventures are for-profit. It's absolutely fine. But you might also be interested in creating a non-profit, which still, at the end of the day, takes in money. All non-profits still need to bring in money so they can pay employees, pay their bills, and so forth. But it's a different type of setting in the non-profit world. Which one do you want to create, a for-profit or a non-profit? Both are fine. It's entirely up to you. The fifth question then is, in which industry do you want to launch your venture? Do you want to be in the field of education or training? Do you want to be in the consumer goods industry? Do you want to create some kind of technological project or some other consumer good? That's fine too. Are you in agriculture? And the whole agricultural industry is a separate entity from education and consumer goods. Or are you in the service industry? Generally speaking, you're going to fall into one of those four. Now, sometimes a product might fall into more than one of these categories, but generally speaking, at an introductory level for entrepreneurship, these are the four types of industries that you're going to fall into. So you're going to ask yourself, what industry, which of these four, will you fall into? But then you have to ask a sixth question, and that is, well, how are you going to use the revenue from this? Now, there's two roads that you can travel down. One is you're going to put everything that you have into this venture. So you're only going to use it as a sole source of income. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Others, however, may want to launch something part-time on the side and work full-time during the day and then start one or two new ventures at night or on the weekend and have multiple revenue streams. Either way is fine. Remember, it's your life, it's your decision. So you're either going to travel down the left road where you're just using the income and revenue from your venture, and that's it, nothing else. Or you're going to use it as a multiple revenue stream and add on top of what you're already doing during the day. And that's fine too. Either way, it's fine. The seventh question is, what about location? Where would you be located? Do you need a storefront for your venture? Is it home-based, where many entrepreneurs are launching companies today? Is it a virtual company, where you actually don't need any physical space at all? Or are you in an incubator or shared space with other entrepreneurs? All are fine, and again, it depends on what your needs are. I would always recommend starting out as small as possible and then growing. But again, either of these four is fine. They are the most common locations. So which one do you use, or what do you think you're going to use as you launch your venture? The eighth question is, how about funding? Do we need some money to launch this venture? Are you going to bootstrap and just use whatever money you can find under the cushions, if you will, of your sofa? Are you going to look for an angel investor for some initial funding? How about friends and family? You can go to them. Maybe they can give you a loan. Or do you need a lot of money, and do you need to go to venture capitalists then? So here are the four most common ways that one achieves funding to launch their venture. So which one do you use? And then how much do you need as well? That's also a good question. That, of course, depends upon what you're trying to do. How about personnel? Is it just yourself? You can absolutely just launch something on your own. Are you going to have one partner? Are you going to have your family involved? Or are you going to have a whole team involved? What do you foresee as the number of personnel involved in launching your venture? And then finally, when's the last time you assessed your personal traits and habits? Now this is really critical, because MIPA, our fundamental training philosophy, is that an entity will only grow as much as its people grow. And personal growth drives professional growth. So in other words, a small business will only grow as much as a small business owner grows. And with that in mind, we help entrepreneurs and organizations as a whole go from point A to point B on something known as the path, a personal assessment of traits and habits. This is very critical for any small business owner to do, is to assess their traits and habits. We're just going to quickly go through the 20 traits and habits here. It's really, really important to understand this, and you can always look on the MIPA website and click on Path for more information here. But this path will help you, as you seek to launch your venture, travel down your path a bit further. Now, there are 6 choices for each question. It's not to identify strengths and weaknesses, but to identify the frequency of practice. So how often do you do something? You never do it, you rarely do it, you very rarely do it, you frequently do it, you very frequently do it, you always do it. So let's take a look at the 20 traits and habits of your path. How often are you comfortable at being uncomfortable? How often do you create a vision for your life? How often do you believe you create your own life? How often do you rebound from failure? How often do you practice self-discipline? How often do you exercise courageous behavior? How often do you believe in yourself when others do not? How often do you engage in self-promotion? How often do you find new resources when trying to solve a problem? How often do you persevere difficult situations? How often do you work towards a specific goal? How often do you prioritize? How often do you collaborate? How often do you seek first to understand, then work towards being understood? How often do you engage in self-improvement? How often do you discuss new ideas? How often are you comfortable with change? How often do you take calculated risk? How often do you ask yourself empowering questions, such as, what is life trying to teach me now, instead of, oh, why me? And how often do you differentiate from others? So that sums up the 10 questions that entrepreneurs need to ask themselves before they launch a venture. What does the word entrepreneur mean? What does it mean to you? What need will you fill? Why do you want to address that need? Will you launch a for-profit or non-profit organization? What industry will you compete in? Will you generate revenue elsewhere, or will you use your venture as the sole income for yourself? Where will your venture be located? How will you fund your venture? Who will assist you? And when's the last time you assessed your traits and habits? So I want to thank you for your time, for listening and watching this MEPA video, and have a great day.